Hello and welcome to the Eyeswell Gaming channel for another game review. Today we've got the final entry in a trilogy of side-scrollers which have been covered on the channel previously. So what exactly are we looking at? Well, Assassin's Creed Chronicles Russia. This one initially released in 2016, being developed by Climax Studios and published by Ubisoft, of course. So let's go ahead and take a look at this side-scrolling Assassin's Creed game together, which topped off the Chronicles series, so that hopefully together we can determine if it still holds up today and try to answer the most important question asked in this series. Is it still worth it for you? Let's get into it. So let's start by setting up the plot of this one for you. We've got a game taking place in the early 20th century Soviet Russia after the 1917 October Revolution. So it's safe to say that this one is in the relatively recent history when compared to most of the Assassin's Creed games, regardless of if we're looking at the main series titles or spin-offs like this one. The game follows the protagonist Nikolai Orlov, who also is the main character of the comic Assassin's Creed The Fall and the graphic novel The Chain. Essentially, he's on a mission to recover a powerful artifact tied to the Brotherhood's centuries-long conflict with the Templars. Along the way, he's going to cross paths with key figures and uncover secrets that tie into both his personal journey and the overarching Assassin Templar storyline. When it comes to Assassin's Creed Chronicles Russia, the obvious comparison is to other games in the Chronicles trilogy, China and India. All three of these games share the same side-scrolling gameplay and minimalist approach to storytelling compared to the mainline Assassin's Creed titles. However, you will find that Russia stands out with its darker tone and modern setting. Assassin's Creed Chronicles China and India have also been covered on the channel previously, so if you want to check those out, I'll make sure that there's pop-ups on screen or links in the description or somewhere for you as well. Aside from other Assassin's Creed games, and looking at games that have been covered on the channel already, to give you some idea, we can see Little Nightmares as a general comparison. It's another 2.5D game with a focus on stealth and puzzle solving, so you will find some connection there. In Assassin's Creed though, instead of stealth being the only option, there's plenty of alternatives for engaging with enemies directly. Puzzles are also typically simpler than in Little Nightmares, and the general feel will be different as the Assassin's Creed series as a whole tends to be geared more towards a light fantasy game which occurs within a more realistic world, as opposed to the artistic and exaggerated approach in Little Nightmares. And I think that's all I want to look at. With these kinds of platformer types, you can always go back to games like old school Prince of Persia and that kind of thing. But if you start going down that path, you're going to find yourself in a never-ending loop of looking at those sorts of games and trying to not miss any key ones. In terms of mechanics, Assassin's Creed Chronicles Russia sticks with the platforming gameplay that sets the Chronicles series apart from mainline games. Instead of the usual open world or open zone design, this one is a 2.5D platformer. That means that the gameplay mostly operates on a side-scrolling plane, but with limited movement into a third dimension, like ducking into doorways or traversing deeper into the background. As with China and India, Russia is a very linear experience, offering little in the way of exploration. Most of the gameplay revolves around completing main objectives, occasional secondary tasks, and hunting down small secret areas tucked away in the levels. The focus is heavily on stealth as direct confrontation isn't as viable. The protagonist, Nikolai, is more fragile than main series assassins, so staying hidden and planning your moves are key to success in this one. The gameplay loop essentially revolves around learning guard patrols and slipping between hiding spots. Combat is manageable once you get a handle on it, but it's easy to get overwhelmed if multiple enemies attack you at once. Equipment and abilities are going to be very similar to previous entries, whistling to distract guards and smoke bombs return, along with Nikolai's unique gadgets, like his electric winch, which lets you interact with machinery or distract guards from a distance. His rifle also adds a bit of variety, giving you a tool for ranged attacks or solving puzzles, though ammo is going to be limited. Pickpocketing for supplies, performing assassinations, and navigating guard cones of vision all remain central to the gameplay. Visually, Russia adds a new aesthetic compared to China and India. The game really tries to lean into its bleak industrial setting, with a muted grayscale palette occasionally punctuated by flashes of red to give a subtle reminder of the violence and danger in the world. The environments are going to feel cold and oppressive, which perfectly fits the Soviet-era backdrop. Artistic cutscenes, similar to the ones in previous entries, will make a return, with a style that complements the game's tone. Where India's cutscenes felt vibrant and colorful, Russia is more subdued and somber. Small details like the smoke trailing from Nikolai's rifle or the flashes of red during assassinations add to the atmosphere, making the simplistic visuals feel more purposeful and tied to the story's themes. So what's going to set Assassin's Creed Chronicles Russia apart? Like the rest of the Chronicles series, it's the combination of Assassin's Creed lore with the platformer format. The game stays simple in terms of mechanics, focusing on parkour, stealth assassinations, and some light puzzle solving. Most of the gameplay itself is about timing movements, figuring out patrol patterns, and executing a plan without getting caught. There are some tense sequences as well as the high-speed running sections which make a return from previous entries. These sections do offer some variation of gameplay to the otherwise formulaic stealth platforming. If you're one of those people that miss the days when Assassin's Creed games focus more on assassins versus Templars and less on the RPG elements, you might appreciate Russia. Though do keep in mind that the story is smaller and more personal, with Nikolai pursuing his own goals. On the more technical side, the game feels fine. No crashes, glitches, or bugs during my playthrough. There's really not a lot to talk about in terms of sound. I thought it was fine, nothing really stand out here. I'll make sure to play a couple of short examples for you so that you make up your own mind though.
The Tsar's family is in Yekaterinburg, under guard.
Just the local militia. Townsfolk under the command of a commissar. Still, keep your senses sharp, Nikolai. If this box is what we think it is, the Templars are no doubt looking for it too.
Escape! We will find you!
Did anyone pay any special attention to this arena?
What? And risk catching anything Rasputin might have had? They'd be a braver man than I.
So with the general look at the game done, let's get into opinions and subjective territory. I'm going to keep it short, but I just want to mention a couple things. If you've seen some of the other reviews, then you know the deal, but for new people, don't expect traditional things like a number rating or something like that, because I don't believe in them. The point of these reviews is just to show you the game and let you decide for yourself, because not everyone is going to enjoy every game out there, and your experience is going to be subjective and personal. So with all that said, now that we've gone over the general aspects of the game, I'm just going to talk about my own experience for those interested. Keep in mind that whether I enjoyed the game or not doesn't mean that you will or won't. Instead, try to make your decision on whether or not to give it a try based on the breakdown done in the first part of the review. Did I enjoy Assassin's Creed Chronicles Russia?
Nuclear vessels!
You know, I'm really tired of this series. China was fun to have something a little bit different. Then India came out and it felt like a reskin with a couple of changes, but mostly the same thing. Now with Russia coming out, again, it feels the same. I really don't know what I was expecting here. It's an Assassin's Creed platformer, and it does what it says on the tin. It's just not really interesting to me anymore, especially after 2 of essentially the same game released previously. Maybe if I was more of a modern platformer gamer, this could have some appeal, but honestly, I would just rather play a full mainline release Assassin's Creed game. rather than putting my time into this one. If I'm being fair, I think they pull off the stealth platformer well, and I'm pretty sure that it's mostly my own bias of not being super into these kinds of games that makes me less interested in this one. Really, the only reason that I was keeping these games in my rotation is that they offer up something that I can quickly get through a zone or a mission if I'm on a time constraint or busy in the real world, with only a small time budget for gaming. They do help to scratch the gaming itch, but again, I would rather choose from many other games over this one. All that said, if you're someone who's really into platformers, or if you've played the other Chronicles games and enjoyed those, or if you just really need some more Assassin's Creed, then this might be a great game for you. Like I was saying, it does manage to pull off the stealth platformer pretty well, so if that's what you're looking for, you're in luck, you have one. If you're more like me and thought it was fun the first time around but felt a little burned out with it by India, well, this one is likely going to be even more of a drag for you. So I hope you enjoyed this look at Assassin's Creed Russia. Have you already played through the game? Let me know down in the comments what you thought and if you agree or disagree with my own opinion. If the video was helpful or entertaining, please give me a like here, as it really helps me out a lot, and consider subscribing to the channel. I create and upload a bunch of different gaming content, not just reviews but also walkthroughs and other videos, and would love to have you join the community and help direct the future of the channel. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch today, and until next time, take care.
Nikolai, how long has it been?
You have worked for me?
Always the charmer. But I'm glad it is you they sent. I have a dangerous assignment. Our informants reported that the Imperial family may have in their possession an old and very special box. It may be a piece of Eden.
The Tsar's family is in Yekaterinburg, under guard.
Just the local militia. Townsfolk under the command of a commissar. Still, keep your senses sharp, Nikolai. If this box is what we think it is, the Templars are no doubt looking for it too.
I've beaten them before. This will be my last mission. I have to think of Anna and Nadia.